Live from Boston Broadcasting in the What a Day studios, this is the What a Day Podcast with your host, Joe Lowry.
Hey everybody, Joe Lowry, What a Day. Welcome to the What a Day Podcast. And my guest at this time is an international superstar. She is the NWA World's Women's Champion. Perhaps you've seen her on AEW Dynamite. Let's give a warm What a Day welcome to Miss Thunder Rosa. Welcome to the show, Rosa.
I don't know if I can match your energy.
Oh, come on. How you feeling? You okay today?
Yeah, I'm fine. I can.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So what are your thoughts? This past January, we're going to jump right in. I'm that kind of guy. I just like to jump right in with things. So here it is, January. You take on the NWA champion and you win the title. What are your thoughts on that? That must have been something. That must have made your career so far.
Absolutely, man. Like you always, I guess as a professional, I strive to earn the best, to be the best, to beat the best, right? And that happened that night. It was a very beautiful picture for me now that I go back and see it. Yeah. Because it was another stepping stone for my career as a professional wrestler, and to as something that I can cement my own legacy, right? And it's definitely very beautiful that I was able to earn the title and still right now defending the title.
That's great. That's great. And so all of a sudden we turned on the TV last month and AEW obviously winning in the ratings war and all that stuff. And there you are. Thunder Rosa is all elite. How did that come about? NWA World Champion going to AEW? Tell me about it.
I don't know. It just happened. It's a cross-promotional situation, and I'm blessed that I've been able to do a couple cross-promotional stuff in my career, and they worked out pretty well. So that's what happened. I was able to have a TNT match. I thought I was going to do dark, and I was just like, no, you're doing TNT live. Wow. That was the first. The second one was AEW. I mean, All Out, and then the third TNT. Right. To defend the title, and the last one was a tag team match, which I'm really blessed for the opportunity to have come and have kind of like on the top spot.
Yeah, right away, right off the top, right there. There you go.
The top spot and on a top spot too, because expectation is really high. But I'm really happy that I was able to deliver, and I'm really happy that the fans at AEW are still asking for Thunder Rosa to be back on the show.
Yeah. Now, you have any plans going back soon, or?
I mean, I would like to take. Yeah, I have all these plans. I mean, if you ask me, I plan to go back. I'm making goals. I'm still on the NWA contract, and I'm still champion, and that's all that I know right now.
And NWA was okay with you going over there, obviously.
Oh yeah, otherwise.
That's good. That's good. Now, what are your thoughts on the AEW locker room? They seem like, they're the new, obviously they just celebrated 1 year last night on the air. They've come a long way. They've had more shows without a crowd than with a crowd. And yet people they've solid demos. Everybody's tuning in every week, same audience. Their people are turning them on. They're not turning them off. What are your thoughts on being part of that company like that? Because this hasn't happened in 20 years.
I think it's very important to give people choices and options, especially because wrestling has very different styles and is not only like one and one only, and that's the only thing you should watch. I think you should be given the right to do that. And then for a long time, it's been the indies. But now AEW has taken a lot of our indie guys, top indie guys, and have made them stars. So I'm really happy that AEW is another avenue for people to showcase their skills. Right. I mean, a lot of my peers, they have gone too dark and they have been able to get signed, and it's really good for us.
Right. So, and obviously you're enjoying your time there. Now, what have you been doing since the pandemic hit? I mean, have you wrestled at all outside of AEW?
Do you have 3 hours to explain what I've been doing?
Does anybody have 3 hours anymore? I don't know.
It's so interesting because when there is no wrestling, I really focus on my own personal projects. Okay. Projects really are focused on building my brand even bigger and building what I've been working with some of my friends and family, which is called Mission Pro Wrestling, which is I'm a co-owner of an all-female show.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. So we just ran our first show in September 19th, which was very but we sold out. And our second November 6th. So we are running that, and we're almost sold out on that one too. So I've been creating a lot of merchandise, talking to a lot of podcasters all over the world and the United States to bring notice on other women that are very talented too, but they have not been able to have the opportunity that I have had in the last
exposure. Yep.
So you're gonna see in my social media some of the projects that I've been working on. We are a great collective of women of color and other women that have not been.
Good to have diversity. Sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm all about diversity. I'm all about community, and that's one of the things that I had been working on. And now that I told you I don't feel very well, but it's, you know what, I think I'm overworking myself a little bit. Like, you need to calm down because you have big things coming up. So, yeah.
Now, when you said there's another show coming up?
Yes, November 6th, and
where is that at?
It's gonna be here in Buda, Texas.
Okay.
It's 45 minutes from San Antonio. No, 45 Austin. An hour from San Antonio, and it will be streamed on Match Network.
Okay.
Or if you're interested actually in watching our show, you can watch it there, or you can purchase it on missionprowrestling.net.
Okay, awesome. And they can go to your website for all that information too, right?
Everything is there. Yes.
Okay. So you're busy. You're a promoter. You're a marketer. You're a wrestler. I guess you have been staying busy. I
have. And this week I started I was attempting to start my training for MMA. Yep. There's a big possibility that I step on the cage in February, March.
Oh, so nice.
Get ready. If you see me moving my hand, it's because Drago is here and he wants to love my dog.
That's great. Now, is MMA your first passion?
No.
No? Wrestling?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, how did you get started with wrestling? I mean, some people grow up in the industry. Some people get turned on to it earlier. How did you get into pro wrestling?
It was a hobby for me. Wrestling. It was indie pro wrestling. It was never WWE or TNA. It was indie pro wrestling. It was an opportunity that I had on Fridays to just go and unwind and have fun with my husband and some of my friends in the Bay Area. And it became a job. And now,
and you fell in love with it right then and there.
As a fan, it was different. I love theater. Musical, everything up the top. That's I love that. And wrestling has it all. Definitely.
Now, did you have any favorite wrestlers growing up? I mean, I know you watched the indies a lot, but nobody mainstream like that, or.
I was a nerd. I love my studies. I just want to be a teacher, and I think one of the things that I think I love when I was 19 years old, I really like basketball. And, Chicago Bulls fan. That's when
Michael Jordan
and all the Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and those guys were like, man, this thing is cool. I used to watch that when I was young. I remember at my neighbor's house because my parents didn't like sports, so I used to go to my neighbor's house and stay there all day. Playing ball.
It's funny because I grew up with the Celtics. I'm a Boston native. And when I watched the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, they did that intro where the lights went out, all the lights were going on, with all the spotlights, and they would introduce the team like it was like a big show. Because things changed in the 90s with that, just like wrestling. Everything became a star-studded spectacle where you walk down the ring and, all that. Do you prefer, I'm assuming you've watched older generational matches. You have, right?
Now I do.
Now you do. Do you see a difference between now and then about how they approach the game, how they approach the sport? I'm talking about wrestling now. Like, I'm going to take the Von Erichs, big, I talk with Kevin now. I talk with David now and then. Kevin, excuse me. And, the way they wrestled back then was much different than up here in the Northeast. It was different how they did in California. Yeah. So do you see that now? A lot of people trying to go back to that style to bring it back a little bit, or what do you see there?
I think, for example, when I was working NWA Power, we were wrestling very old school and story-based oriented. Everything that we were doing, it was because it had a purpose based on our storylines and all. For example, when I came in as Thunder Rosa the first time, they called me the Hammer. I came, to give it to them and like a hammer. I was there, and then I was there.
Wow.
had her role, and she came in and she was the talker. I wasn't the talker. I was the one that is like, hey, Marty, oh, if Melina said, hey, go and get this bitch, I'll go and get it.
Yeah, NWA Power, before the pandemic, was really surging. They brought back the old set, the old ring, the old studio audience. That's kind of what I remember growing up with cable TV. I was introduced to that. So I kind of fell in love with that. Like, oh my God, look at, there's like 10 people in the crowd, but who cares? Look at the wrestling that's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to take my dog out because he's going to start like barking, and I don't. Bye. It was nice seeing you.
What kind of dog you got?
He is a pointer mix.
Okay.
I took him out from the ASPCA actually.
Oh, okay.
When was
nice.
it? 2 years ago. Oh, he's been part of the family for 2 years now.
Nice.
He's pretty famous. Like, he actually has his shirt too. It's on my website.
There you go. I have a beagle. We bought a beagle back in March.
Nice.
Little baby beagle. Cute. So, all right. So basically, what do you think after the pandemic's over? Do you think the crowds are going to come back like they were before to come see wrestling?
Man, yes, the people are ready to get out of their houses. Like, they are ready. And if we do it in a safe way, you can run correctly. I told you, I just run our show and we had about 200 people. It was in an outside arena. Yeah. All very happy. All of them were wearing their mask, no matter how hot it was.
Yeah.
Temperatures. Everybody was using hand sanitizer, and everybody had a good time. I think they're all ready to start back again. But I mean, there's gonna be risk, of course, involved in
everything,
the state and opening up this thing. So we all mindful, and it starts with us, with your own person, to be mindful for other people. I always say.
Right. Yep, I agree exactly. I mean, the pandemic, kids are back in school, people are going back to work. Of course, there's an uptick in cases, but I think what it is now that we are more prepared than we were 6 months ago.
Absolutely.
We're right around the corner from a vaccine. People are more immune. There's more protection. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it. I haven't seen a wrestling match in 6 months. I'm like I want to go too. There's nothing around here. They keep shutting everything down that tries to open up. There'll be some shows, but they can't advertise because they'll get too many people and then they'll get in trouble. So
the beautiful and scary part, I live in Texas.
Yeah.
So open since about like at the end of the middle of May or April, we will start 20%. Numbers have stayed steady. In some places they are higher than others, but I mean, once you start opening things up, but we're managing, and we had to change a lot of the mentality of a lot of people because a lot of people were refusing to wear masks, and it was a very but I think at this point, because we all want business and we all want to keep running, like wearing the mask, it's a pain in the butt for a lot of people, but it is done, and people are doing it because they want business in their business before they close for forever. Right.
Now, you wrestled at Ring of Honor, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. How was your experience there?
It was good, I guess. There, but it's like you're always, when you go to certain places, you always have to come and really like test the waters,
right?
Because everybody has different politics and everybody runs their business different. So I just came, hi, how you doing? Shake everybody's hand, and left.
Yeah, there you go. Now, you're in charge of your creativity, your character.
Yes.
Would you ever want to go to WWE where they might change you, or?
That's a very interesting question. I've talked to my husband about signing for WWE if they're interested. Right. But if that happens, I would like to really do pretty much everything I want to do as Thunder Rosa, and really explore everything that I have not explored yet before I sign. Because once you sign, you belong to the company. I mean, you wear that shirt that says property of WWE, and then become property of WWE unless you work your contract and you carve your stuff. They weigh that you carve your stuff. And I think it's very important for somebody like me. I'm very opinionated. I'm very passionate about women's wrestling. I'm very passionate about what I want to see as a contender and as a professional athlete in the ring and outside of the ring. I mean, I have built my brand on my own with my family.
Right.
And that takes time.
I know it does. Yep.
A lot of effort, and I don't stop. I mean, they call me unstoppable for a reason.
Right.
And yes, I do. I mean, if the opportunity is there the financials are there and there is something good for my future,
Right.
that family, then absolutely, why not? Like
Right.
those are opportunities that you have to think, later on, is like, how is this gonna help me to build for my future and for the future.
Right.
I am not single. I have a dog and I have a husband. So I have to think about all those things. There's a lot of
No, I get it. Yeah. Yep.
factors, right? So if it's, like I said, if it's in my book of life for me to sign with WWE and it's there and it's written, it will happen.
Right.
But it will happen after, like, under my terms, and that's what I always say.
Right.
Things, it has to be under my terms for you to be happy, because you can't sacrifice your happiness for money. You
Right.
will always be there if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's happening now with obviously you've read the stories. Everybody's social media accounts now are being, pretty much turned over to Vince McMahon, because he's basically saying, you are my property, so anything you're doing is technically my property. And social media wise, that's really caused a black eye across the board. Lana now can't go on TikTok because of that. Paige is in a battle right now because she has a Twitch following, but Paige is property of WWE, even though she changed it to her name. And now Vince is saying, well, your name is my name, you're my property. So I understand where you're coming from. You want to do everything you can creatively and athletically, obviously. So it seems like when people are now thinking about going to WWE, they're having second thoughts, because unlike AEW, they have the freedom to go around, wrestle the independent circuit, go on a podcast, promote a drink or whatever they want to do, which is great because it's good for the sport overall. But you know how it is over in WWE.
But that is, and that's why it's so important for our new generations to understand the steps that you need to take to protect your intellectual property. I mean, I remember I went to a Medusa a class.
Yeah, I love her. We talk all the time.
I love her. She's amazing, and I don't think she's stressed enough to all of us. Y'all need to go invest and put your name on the trademark books.
Yeah.
Because not WWE is gonna be some jerk promoter that is your name and is gonna try to trademark it, and then all it's built is gonna be gone forever.
Yeah. Can't hear you.
And
there you are.
No, sorry, it's my alarm. Let me just take this alarm. My alarm is giving me problems.
I hate that.
Trademark my name, because if I don't do that, somebody else is gonna do it for me. And you know what? No, I work really, really, really hard for what I have, and I'm the one who's taking the bumps, not you. So therefore, I put a little money in there. It takes a little time, and it's a little confusing. Don't distress. You can spend those $450 on other stuff, drinks, food, whatever, or something that you will have forever.
Exactly. Now you seem educated because obviously you have a control of your career and so forth. It seems like a lot of people that want to make it to the big time quick, they sell themselves out. So you get people like that just go to WWE at the age of like 23, 24 years old. By the time they're 30 and they're a little bit smarter and they want to know what they want to do, they're handcuffed. And then it gets ugly from there. And we've seen that. I mean, John Moxley, he was Dean Ambrose. He wanted out. It took him forever to get out of there, and then finally he came to AEW, and look at the success he's having. So that that's one thing to look at. Switching gears a little bit, the women's division. I'm not going to say just for AEW, but for everywhere. 10 years ago up until now, what do you think? It seems like we've gone from the divas to the actual wrestling of women.
But it is in a mainstream, an evolution of women. Right. That evolution has been on the indies for years. Yeah. If you see the wrestling that exists in Japan and Mexico, Europe, I mean, some of these women, they've been doing a lot of stuff that people are doing now.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think it's about time, depending on who the writers, the political change, environment, everything changes too. So they were forced to bring more to allow a lot of this talent to showcase what they can do. I mean, really good friends with Jazz, and I talked to her. I was like, how do you feel about your time in WWE, your time as a woman, and now? And she's like, I wish I would have been brought up the way that you guys are being brought up to like be allowed to do what you guys know what to do. I mean, when I see her in ECW wrestling with men, and I'm like, damn, you were allowed to do stuff, and then I see her matches in WWE, I'm like, I can see the difference and patience that you have. But it's again, this is part of the game, and a lot of the time, as a talent, don't have a say on what you can or cannot do in the ring. Because they give you a story, and they give you something very specific that you need to do, and you need to understand that.
I agree. Now, I had Jordan Grace on a couple of months ago. She was TNA Knockouts champion and so forth. And at Slammiversary, her and Dianna Perazzo, to me, put on one of the best matches I've seen in a long, long time. And I say that because, you know, everybody watches wrestling now. And 9 times out of 10, you're on social media, you're doing something else, you're listening, you're watching. For the first time, and I'll say probably a good year, Jordan Grace and Dianna Perazzo grabbed my attention for 20 minutes, told a story in the ring, not outside the ring, in the ring, beat the hell out of each other, or at least it looked like that, and put on a great show. And I did a big thing about that, and I got a good response from it because for the first time, that turned me on to TNA. I mean, I used to watch it, not really watch it, but, you know, listen for it if something caught my eye, whatever, like the casual fan does. And, you know, like I said, 20 minutes, I'm glued to my TV watching that match. And I told them that, and they said that's what they strive for. Lightning in the bottle, per se, you want to call it that. But who do you see yourself going up against that could really, really put on a great show?
You know, I don't know if you had a chance to watch Primetime Live. I had a 30-minute match for my championship a couple weeks ago with Priscilla. Very good match, technical. We did a lot of very hardcore, like striking, and and that's one of my favorite matches of this year. I mean, she brought it in, and that's what I like to do when we're able and given time to put a match like that, so we can tell a good story. I watched the match that you were like mentioning to me. My husband and I, we sit down. My son is the most critical.
How old's your son?
Critic in the world. Like, he can come, and I can come from like training, whatever. Oh my God, I watched this match. Horrible.
How old is he?
How old is he? 15.
Nice. There you go. He's the know-it-all stage.
Yes. Oh yeah. Tells me straight up, and he watched that match, and he was like, "Why are you guys are not allowed to wrestle like that all the time?"
Yeah.
He watched.
I agree.
With Allison Kay in the match with Priscilla Kelly, and he was like, "Man, that was a really good match. I really thought that you got hurt, you know." So it's like, if I can make him believe that I'm hurt, then I know I'm doing a good job. So right now, I actually let me plug it in right here. In October 27, I have another match with Deeb at Primetime Live. You can
with who? I'm sorry, with who again?
Serena Deeb.
Oh, okay. You wrestled her in AEW. Yeah.
But we're gonna be able to probably wrestle for like 30 minutes. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So I'm pretty sure this is gonna be a banger too. Like people like her, like technical wrestlers, people that are like that like to hit, that like to get hit. You know, that are not afraid to tell a story. I love working with them. So she's one of them. I want to have another match with Kimberly. I had one in Chicago.
Yep.
It was really good. We vibe. We really vibe, and we tell a good story. And I want to have another long one. I like having long matches now when I'm able to like not do everything I want, but really like wrestle in like rest holds and sell and like visuals. Like that to me is so important, more than
that's how it was. Yeah, that's how it should be.
This is from the top, from the 10th floor. I don't care about that anymore. I was younger in the business. I just want to do all my spots because they look cool. You know, you get spot, but it's like the fact that you can engage people in more than 10 minutes in a match. That's even more than popping somebody. So I don't know, man. There's Dianna is another one that I have not been able to wrestle, and I know that we can definitely kill it.
To me, she's a perfect example of somebody who was stuck in the WWE realm in NXT, and all of a sudden she comes over to TNA, and like, who is that? Why wasn't that on display over there? And I think that's one of the mainstream things now, because Dianna Perazzo in TNA was not the Dianna Perazzo at NXT. There's no way.
But that's what I keep telling you. It's like when we work in big promotions, we're at the mercy of the writers.
No, I get that. Yep, I get it.
Of whoever we're working with. And when we sign a contract, we need to understand that that's what happened.
Right.
if you don't want that, then you have to make sure when you're signing. Now, that's like one of the big lessons that I learned about contracts is that you need to make sure you carve things that you want as a performer
Yeah.
before you go into a company. Because if
Right.
not, contract and they're like, hey, you promised me this
Yeah.
going
No,
on.
I get it. I totally understand that. My thing is with the WWE aspect of it, they're trying to do too much too quick. Like if somebody comes in and it's the first time they're there, they get a title shot that day. It's like, where's the buildup? Like, why is this happening?
I think it's everywhere now.
Yeah, true, I guess. But I mean, to me, I interviewed Maria Kanellis a couple of months ago. She had just gotten let go of WWE right in the middle of one of the biggest storylines that the WWE ever started. She was pregnant, 24/7 champion. Her husband was involved. They had this really good storyline going. And all of a sudden, they were like, yeah, we don't need you no more. And she's like, what are you talking about? And she learned firsthand right there that they no longer care about not the product, but the character and the storyline. They don't want to get nobody as big as like back in the day, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and all that stuff. And she was very vocal about that. And my podcast caused a lot of waves because she was on tape saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people started feeling like that because now if you turn on WWE, and I hate to say it, but they're trying to not make any big stars. There's no headliners anymore. You know, there's Roman Reigns, but even he's not like the big headliner anymore. He's just like a secondary story. And with the women's, you know, you guys are limited, you know, because let's still say the women are coming around. It used to be one match on a wrestling card for women. Now it's up to 3 or 4. I mean, I wish it was more than that. I wish it was like boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl.
3 or 4? I have not seen a show that.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, NXT last night, I think, had 2.5 girl matches, which is unheard of, which I thought was great, but they don't do it all the time.
That's a lower division of Raw and SmackDown. I mean, it's
right. I agree. I personally, I watch the women wrestling more than the guys now because you guys actually wrestle. The guys, they go in there, whether I don't know how to explain it because like I'll take a Randy Orton or Drew McIntyre. I already know how that's going to go. I already know that. They've been around long enough to know that they're going to get in the ring. I can go cook dinner. I'm still going to know who's going to win or lose. Like, and then here comes Thunder Rosa, and she's going to take on Serena Deeb, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to watch that because I want to know how that ends. I want to see what they do or if they do something new. That's how I think now. Now, the casual fan doesn't think like that, but if you're trying to incorporate a new generation of fans, of course you're going to want to do that.
But
you know?
Hard because I think everybody gets so complacent, even as fans. Like we get so complacent and we know and that's what we like. It's like your favorite restaurant gets the same plate all the time because you know how it's gonna taste.
Yeah.
It's this is like human nature, right? But when you start challenging it, then it was like, hey, did you put like cumin in my stuff? Like you didn't do this, and then you start putting some until the people start getting used to it. But it takes time. But
I agree.
It's an interesting thing, man.
Yep. Now, do you have anybody on, you know, outside of the wrestlers you mentioned? Who's your dream opponent? Is there anybody out there that you would like to wrestle one time, one shot? Anybody that you know of that would come to mind? It could be male or female.
In Japan, I've said it multiple times. I met her in person. Miko Sataka.
Okay.
Was in WWE for the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah.
Her work. I've seen her live in Japan, and it's just so intense, so hardcore.
You guys think you can get it done?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Bruised up. That was gonna hurt, but I'm gonna be like, yeah, thank you. Mexico. I want to wrestle in Mexico. In CMLL. I know a lot of people are very critical of CMLL, but I think he has some of the best technical wrestling in the world.
Right.
They're high, like the guys are high flyers and stuff like that. And the women, especially the old school, like the ones that used to wrestle in the 80s and 90s, some of them still wrestling. I would love to face Marcella.
Okay.
She's a wonderful wrestler. I've seen her so many times. And she's just like the embodiment of what a female wrestler should be like. Because she can do anything on the ground, high flying, she can base, and she can tell a story. That's one thing I really like about her. When she, like in the 90s or early 2000s, they used to go for a championship match. It wasn't your typical lucha match. They actually were working holds. They were working the head or working
Wow.
the leg. And it's very unlike to see that in Mexico. So
Wow.
that's like, now as a worker, I'm like, right there. That's what I like. That's my style too. That's how I was brought up when I first started wrestling.
Wow.
Psychology, like base psychology. If you cannot do anything and
Yep.
you're as hell, focus in psychology, like the things that we taught you, like your arm drags, your hip tosses, your body slams. When you're working, when you're giving heat, give heat on one part of the body.
Yep.
Else, and that's
Now, where did you train?
I trained at this place called APW Boot Camp Gold Mine in Pacifica, California. After APW Hayward closed, because that was where I was supposed to be training, because Roland Alexander passed away, 2 of the students that were now workers, they took over the training, which is
Okay.
Drake and Matt Carlos. And I'm still in contact with them. Every time I have a big thing coming up, I send them a letter or I send them a text message or a magazine that I'm not and proud, because from the moment I step in the ring that I was gonna make it, so it's very nice your original trainers to believe in what you believe from the day one.
Right. Now, how did you know you had it? How did you know you had the gift?
You know why? Because the story is, I signed up for school. I gave $3,000 to pay for the whole school, and that was my husband's money for go to. He was supposed to go to university.
Okay.
And he got all our scholarship money. We went. Then Roland Alexander passed away. All our money was gone, and I remember driving to his house the night that he died. And I was telling my husband, I turned around, I'm like, dude, what are we gonna do? I mean, we just lost all our money.
Oh yeah.
And then when he looked at me, he's like, I don't know, but we're gonna make it. And then I was like, I came back. It was horrible. Like the whole the thing. Then we came back home, and I looked at him, grabbed him by the hand, and I said, we're gonna make 30,000 times all this money that we lost. Watch me. This is just the beginning, honey.
Yeah.
And it was from there. It was like, I was obsessed. I was obsessed to be the first one. I was obsessed to like get out there. I was obsessed to like not sleeping, like traveling Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with him in California, putting rings. And the funny part is, a lot of people out there never give me a chance to step in the ring as a wrestler. Never. But I was there putting the rings together. First there, last one to leave. And I was the first one. I can tell you now, I was one of the first ones to get opportunities on a bigger scale in Japan, Mexico, in TV shows.
Yep.
But that just tells you, like, I was so driven that I didn't care if they didn't give me an opportunity. Somebody would.
That's amazing work ethic. It doesn't matter if you get in the ring, as long as you're there and you're around and you're doing things. So did you know the ring psychology? Did you have that? Or was that taught to you? Or because a lot of people have to learn it and it takes time. Some people just get it.
I was blessed that before I started wrestling, I became a manager.
Okay.
And I was doing a lot of other jobs. I was like the camera girl. I was doing ring girl, picking up people's things. So I was watching. I was paying attention. I didn't know nothing about wrestling, man. I didn't know nothing about the movie. nothing. So the fact that I had to learn faster than anybody was one of the things that I think it helped me. And being a manager really helped me on paying attention on people's positioning and what was next and what it in story wise what needed to be done to get heat, because that was a heel match. So it was a lot of that. I did that for about 7 months before I became a wrestler.
Right. Now you've been in Japan too, right? You said? Yeah. How was your experience over there?
It was good. I mean, every experience that I have, it's. I mean, when you're there and some stuff happen, you're like, Jesus Christ. But all those negative thoughts, like I turn into positive, and I'm changing things within my power from what I learned from there. So I always see it that way. Like at that moment, it was hard. It was difficult. I cried. I complained. I wanted to come back. Especially on the first 2 tours. But then I went to like my shorter tours. It was 10 days. I didn't want to leave because it was like a vacation. So I learned a lot, and I learned a lot about being humble and working with other people. And not getting stuck in a mentality where it's your way or the highway. When you go to other people's house, you have to behave have to obey their
Right.
rules. So it was always like being very respectful to the culture, and I learned how to love Japan and
Right.
love it. And I hate this situation because I was supposed to be there 3 times this year and I was not able to. But
Well, thank God you're not over there now. You'd be stuck over there.
yeah, I would have been speaking Japanese to you right now.
Yeah, there you go. MMA. How did that come about?
I was approached by the not so popular right now, Alberto Del Rio. Yes, so
I know nothing about what's happening. I've seen headlines, but I haven't read anything like it.
I feel terrible. It's a travesty what is happening, but people make some choices. So but he contacted me because the Campbell and the other guy that are in charge, they're big wrestling fans, so they were having to cross over from professional wrestling into MMA.
Right.
The guy was Sexy Star, and she did great on her first fight. She had I think she has 5-6 million views.
Wow.
And they're interested in doing a professional MMA. I mean, of course, I was gonna say no at first because I just did jiu-jitsu. I don't know nothing about striking. I don't know, because MMA has a psychology to it. The psychology of fighting.
Right. Yeah.
Completely different. I have no clue. I was like, let me what I would train at, and they were like, well, it's your body, we'll train you, but we don't recommend you to get in the ring, in the octagon right now. Never had an amateur fight, but if you want to do it. And I was like, all right, they give me the green light. So I told them yes, and I signed the contract in September 2019.
Yeah.
I fought.
Now, you still under contract with them, or?
I have 1 more year, but due to COVID, I was not able to fight.
Right.
So, like I said, hopefully by March I will have my next fight. I'd like to take my time in fight camp because I'm a champion of NWA and I have to defend my championship. Thus, I have a flat
first. Yep.
work and stuff like that. So I have to really accommodate my time because fighting camp takes a long time, and I want to have the mentality and I want to be healthy when I'm in fight camp, because I can tell you my first fight camp, man, it was a nightmare. I was like sleepless. My body, there was I think a month before my fight, I couldn't move. My lower back jacked up because I was wrestling every weekend.
Yeah.
And I couldn't feel my legs, so I would go to practice and I come back walking like a 70, 80-year-old lady with a back problem, crying. So it was.
Oh, wow.
It takes a toll, and people don't understand how difficult it is because you have to have this killer mentality, and sometimes having it more and more and more, things are really, when they irritate me, I'm like, I'm getting ready.
You seem like you don't say no.
If it's a challenge like that,
I get that vibe from you where everyone's gonna be like, well, if you don't want to do it, and that's your way of saying, or your way of thinking, yeah, I'm gonna do it. So,
don't try me. It's like when people, no, you suck. Yeah, I don't think you will. I mean, there's a couple of things that I said straight up. No, I wouldn't jump from a plane. I just don't like it. Don't do that.
But you'll wrestle. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can. No, there's a couple of things that I will say no, but that one, I also needed a personal challenge.
Right.
Because you get stuck on your ways, and I was kind of stuck with wrestling. I was like I said, I was in the roads. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I wanted to hang up. Right. Nothing for me at that point, or I felt at that point that there was nothing for me. But that really ignited my passion, my hunger to become a better person and to become a better athlete. And I was texting one of my really good friends, and I was telling him about the rankings.
Yeah.
Well, you got number 14, and I'm like, I'm still not satisfied. 14. I should be higher than that. And he's like, enjoy. And I'm like, I am not gonna enjoy until I achieve what I've done for the last 6 years, which is being on top of the top.
Right.
Because that's where I belong.
But you know what happens when you get to the top? You want to get higher. So it's like, what next?
And that's the thing. That's you gotta strive to always become the best and be the best. And you know what? When you get there, that's when you start helping others to get to your level.
Right.
And that's
I agree. I mean, I try to surround myself with a lot of, people that are in the passion what I like to do, and it makes me just elevate my game, which is great. I think COVID has done a lot of that to people because it seems like there's a lot more. I'm trying to think of the word. with COVID going down and people locked down, they had to find their inner self. They had to find out what makes them happy. Because so many people, and I was guilty of it years ago, get up, go to work, come home, go to bed, go to sleep. Get up, go to work, eat, sleep, repeat, they called it. And all of a sudden the world stops and everyone's like, whoa, what now? And that's when I made a decision. This is what I'm doing, because I'm not going to be unhappy anymore. And I'm going to do what I want to do, professionally. And it seems like you have that attitude all the time, pre-COVID, whatever. So, I mean, kudos to you, because you seem like you're a very, very busy woman.
I tried. And then, and the thing is, like, I am 34 and I started the game really late, 26, 27. The one thing I will say that that's works in my advantage, because I already had a prior life working in a regular job and, like, abiding.
Right. Yep.
So I know all that stuff. And I know that if you have a passion, that it takes time and it takes effort and it takes, like, you have to just go for it and do it. Otherwise, it's not going to get done by itself.
Right.
That's what I told you. For me, doing stuff for women's wrestling, and it's so important. And I'm not just talking about giving the bookings. And I'm educating our new talent that when they go tryouts at WWE or AEW or NWA or TNA, they need to learn and they need to stick up by learning where the cameras are. They learn psychology. They learn how to behave in the locker room. All these little things that, like, schools don't really teach us.
Right.
That's some of the things that we can do with Mission Pro Wrestling. We will be doing it in the near future. And, working with your community. I feel like now more than ever, I feel like kayfabe is, in some places like Japan and Mexico and Puerto Rico, still exists. But here in America, you don't do the kayfabe anymore. Like, you need
it. You need that. You
can invite people that are interested in being part of this in a positive way to make a change in our business. And I'm just not about just give me money and then I put your logo on my thing. No, it's like, really give those people opportunities to get to know our talent. Maybe they can connect them with something, like the real network part. I feel it's needed for a lot of the talent to, like, get out there and just be confident about their skills.
Do you feel some of the newer talent coming into the scene now doesn't know what kayfabe is?
I don't know. No, and you know what? And a lot of the times, I don't even know if some of the talent know how to put a ring together. Oh, sometimes I'm like, have you ever put a ring together?
I used to ring announce when I put the ring together. I mean,
That's a beautiful people that really love this business. They love every aspect, even putting and taking the ring together.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I became a fan. I tell the story all the time. It was 1981, a little before your time. And I was doing, I had no idea what wrestling was. And I was doing a paper for a buddy of mine who was on vacation.
Yeah.
And I went to a lady's house to collect money for the paper. And it was Saturday morning. I heard this rumbling on the TV. And I looked in the door and I'm like, what is that? I heard, I see these guys running around the ring and Vince McMahon's yelling. And I'm like, what's going on there? And she's like, that's wrestling. And I'm like, oh, I ran home. My Saturdays, my whole life changed right from there. And I tell that story all the time. I love everything about it. I love the wording of it. I love the ring. I love the smell of the arenas. I love everything about it. And that's why I was so attracted to it. And like you said, some of these people coming in never put a ring together. How can you not put something together that you're going to perform on? It's little things like that, it seems like some of these people are coming in. Like, I see some of these trainees and, like, all these other classes on WWE, and they come from these entertainment backgrounds, but, like, where is the wrestling experience? They're actually there to learn how to wrestle and go in front of the camera at the same time. I mean, where are the dues being paid? It's like nothing's happening like that anymore.
Well, I think WWE has a way. They have certain people that they like to see, and that's what they get.
Right.
Now, if you go to, like, a very respectable school, like, that's the first thing that they make you do. Your first day is you put the ring together.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be your workstation. So from day one, they tell you, have respect for this. I have so much respect for that ring.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like, I wipe my feet before I get into the ring because I don't want to bring no negativity from the floor into.
Yep. You're not the only one. I know people that do that. Yep. I get it.
All of those that were before me. I mean, there's been so much, especially for women's wrestling and women of color.
Yeah.
We a lot. And feel
Yeah.
like not get the respect that we deserve because of a color of our skin or nationality or et cetera, just for the fact that we are women. So that is so that's why I keep stressing enough that it's so important for me to work on this and just educate that to like pass it on to other women that it's okay to be humble and that it's okay to help others without getting from not expect anything out of it.
Right.
Just because that's the thing that we should do. So we can grow together, so we can build together, so we can demand respect together. People,
Right. Now, NWA, are you guys still taping or what's
no,
going on there? No.
right now we are on the standstill. I mean, I don't a standby. I don't know right now what or when we're gonna start recording.
Right. Have you keep in contact with the company at all or all the time? Excellent.
Contact and everything. I mean, I'm a fighting champion, so anytime there's an opportunity for me to defend the championship, that's what I want to do. I don't want to be sitting at home, not doing anything.
Right.
It's not like I don't do anything anyways, but
you want to wrestle. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what I like to do. I like to entertain.
Now, will AEW let you defend the title?
I did defend the title once.
Oh, that's right. You did. I'm sorry. You
Yeah.
did. I
But
remember that. Okay.
What the plans, like I said, I don't know what the plans are with AEW and NWA. I'm very unclear. And even if I knew, I probably would not be able to tell you. They tell me to tell anybody, so I don't know. So I'm just like I said, right now I'm like doing my thing, prepping my own stuff, making sure.
No, I get it. Yep, staying busy. All right, real quick, last question. I know we're running out of time. Where would you want to be, Thunder Rosa? 1 year from now, what are your goals?
1 year from now?
1 year, 2 years, 5 years? You tell me. Where is Thunder Rosa going to be in the future?
Oh, I'm going to be on the top, baby. Like everybody in the world's going to know who am I. And
Excellent.
I'm going to be able to bring so many women together in a very positive way. You guys are going to see that. I mean, a year.
Excellent.
Where people are gonna talk about mixed pro wrestling in a very positive way and women's wrestling.
Really? Okay. Now, is there anybody that stands out right now that's coming up in the ranks that you think will be a major star? Outside of yourself, outside of you.
From the indie circuit?
Anybody you know of that's been wrestling that you know of. Obviously with the indies in Texas and so forth, I can't see that because I'm up in the Northeast. I can only tell you who's around here. Is there anybody that catches your eye that says, you know what, they got the it factor, they're going to make it somewhere?
I think there's this girl, like not a lot of people know her, and I've seen her. When I saw her and she wrestled me, I was like, yo, you need to be somewhere else. Her name is Lacey Ryan. She's in Las Vegas. I'm
sorry, her name again? I'm sorry.
Lacey Ryan, a.k.a.
Oh, Lacey Ryan, okay.
She is, man, she can do everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Not her promos yet, but everything else, she got it.
Like, all right, we got to get her on What a Day then.
Yeah, she's amazing.
That's awesome. And I guess personally speaking, how you doing with the pandemic? Everything? The family safe? Everybody good?
Yeah. I mean, my husband has been working the whole entire time. My son is about to return to high school finally. Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, at first he went back and he didn't like it. Is being taught in front of a computer. It's
not. Yeah.
I feel so bad for him. Like I'm sitting with him doing homework, and it's like the hardest thing because like I get distracted, he gets distracted. The dog.
Yeah. You're not the only one. I mean, my kids have all graduated college, thank God, but I can't imagine doing what parents are doing now. I mean, before they were. I mean, my thing was making sure they weren't on their phones or computers too long during the day. Now it's 8 hours of school and then your social activities. It's like I can't imagine.
No, and the fact that they don't have any social activities or social contact with other kids.
Yeah.
Really, really like it comes to a point where they become very depressed and very anxious.
Yeah, they said that's on the rise too. Depression. Yeah.
It's real. It's absolutely.
I'm sure it is. Yep.
I'm very proactive with my son, and when I see, like I said, because I was a social worker, so I.
Oh, good. Okay.
Everything, this is depression 101. It is very important that if you're a parent that you listen to your kids.
Yeah.
When I'm like occasions and where like my eye, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's talking, and I'm trying to stay open. but if not, you guys believe in therapy, like really bring your kids to therapy. It really works for them to feel that somebody that is not a part of your family actually listens and they get challenged.
Yeah.
and explore their feelings, because there's nothing wrong with boys or having certain type of feelings at a certain age.
At any age, yeah. Especially in high school, I can understand that.
Yeah,
I used to coach baseball and basketball, so I know it's like
you know how it is.
I know. Yeah, I know exactly how it is. So
well, just be there
excellent. Well, I want to thank you for coming on What a Day. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Thunder Rosa. Is there anything you want to tell your fans? You want to plug your stuff, or go right ahead?
You can find me at www.thunderrosa.net. 3 new shirts are dropping next week.
Whoa! All right.
Be there for them. All of them are shipped by me. I only ship orders on Monday. I want to make that clear.
Okay.
If you order your stuff and it's after Monday, you're not going to get it until the next week, so you don't get mad. And then for my social media, it's all my handles at ThunderRosa22, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Excellent.
And on YouTube.
I'll go ahead and throw that stuff on my website too, so they have a link to go there. So that'd be good. Awesome. All right. Excellent. And then when's your next in-ring? You said something October?
Yeah. My next in-ring show will be for Primetime Live. You can show at Fight TV. They sell by packages, but if you only want to get that one, you can pay $9.99, I think, which is and then on a beer, guys, or Coca-Cola or whatever else you like at the restaurant. I will be there live, and then the second one will be on November 6th on Mission Pro Wrestling, and you can find all the information on missionprowrestling.net.
All right, awesome. Well, Thunder Rosa, you seem like you're very busy, and I want to thank you for coming on What a Day. And everybody else, you can check out the What a Day podcast on all social media platforms. And if you don't want to go on all those social media platforms, head over to whatadayjoe.com, where everything is all in one. All right, folks. Everything. I just want to again thank Thunder Rosa for coming on. Thank everybody for tuning in. I'm Joe Lowry. What a day.
The views and opinions expressed by Joe What a Day Lowry are that of him alone. It does not reflect any other person, company, or social media entity. And if you don't like it, well, that's just too bad.